All right, welcome back everyone to Vuln Vibes, ready for another deep dive.
Let's do it. I'm ready to dig into some WordPress security today.
Awesome. You know me, I love getting into the nitty-gritty. And today's WP Safe block is all about dissecting the latest WordPress vulnerabilities, the high and critical ones that have popped up in the past 24 hours.
Always a good reminder that things move fast in this world.
Absolutely. And our listeners, they live and breathe security, so let's skip the 101 and get straight to the trends that actually matter. What do we have on the docket?
Well, we've got a handful of reports, 6 new vulnerabilities total, impacting a few popular plugins. And, as you might expect, they're hitting those classic weak points, file uploads, shortcode execution. Oh, and of course, we can't forget our old friend SQL injection.
It wouldn't be a WordPress vulnerability roundup without it, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's break it down. What's the first one that caught your eye?
Well, the WP Vivid Backup and Migration plugin is making headlines. Seems like they've got a missing file validation check, which could potentially let attackers with admin access upload whatever they want.
Oh, that sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's not great, but there's a catch. This one's only really exploitable on NDNX servers. Anyone running Apache, they're probably okay thanks to the .access protection.
So a little bit of good news for some folks out there, but still, it highlights how important server configuration is.
For sure. Attackers are smart. They're looking for those specific environments where they can make the biggest impact. It's not just about patching the vulnerability itself. You've got to know your setup inside and out.
Right, the context matters. So what else do we have? Any other plugins acting up?
Actually, we've got a bit of a theme emerging here. 2 plugins, the Show Me the Cookies and the Custom Post Type Date Archives, both have vulnerabilities that allow for arbitrary shortcode execution.
Now, for our listeners who might not be as deep in the WordPress weeds, maybe you can break down what that actually means. What's the big deal with shortcodes?
So shortcodes are basically snippets of code that let you do cool things in WordPress without writing a ton of complex code, like embedding a video or a contact form, that kind of thing. But the problem is, if an attacker can inject their own malicious shortcode,
That sounds bad.
it can be. They could essentially execute any code they want on the site. We're talking hijacking admin accounts, stealing data, redirecting traffic, you name it. It's like giving them a backdoor key.
So it's not just about these individual plugins then. It's about understanding how they interact with each other and how that can create bigger vulnerabilities, right?
Exactly. It's like a chain reaction. One weak link can bring down the whole system.
Okay, moving on. What's next on our list of WordPress woes?
The Mambo Importer plugin, this one's got a PHP object injection vulnerability. Basically, it means attackers might be able to mess with how the plugin processes data by injecting malicious objects.
And I'm guessing that's not something we want them doing.
Definitely not. Now, on its own, it might not be a critical issue. As far as we know, there's no exploit chain within the plugin itself. But here's the thing.
I'm sensing a but coming.
Haha, you know me too well. But what if there's another plugin on that same site that does have a vulnerability that can be chained with this one?
So it's back to that idea of plugin interactions and the bigger picture.
Exactly. This is why thorough vulnerability scanning is so crucial. You've got to look beyond individual plugins and consider the entire ecosystem.
Great point. And to be fair, it's not always easy to keep track of all those moving parts. All right, what else is on our radar?
Okay, so next we have a classic SQL injection vulnerability in the LTL Freight Quotes plugin. It's popping up in the dropship pitted and edited parameters.
And I bet I can guess why. Insufficient escaping. Poor query preparation, those old chestnuts.
You got it. And with SQL injection, the attacker's objective is to break into the database. They manipulate those parameters, and boom, they could potentially grab sensitive data, user credentials, anything they can get their hands on.
Ouch, not good. It's a reminder that sometimes those basic security practices are still the most important.
Absolutely. Regular security audits, code reviews, those are your frontline defenses against these types of vulnerabilities.
Okay, we're on the last one now, right? What do we got?
This one might seem a bit less dramatic, but it's still worth noting. The IP2 Location Country Blocker plugin has a regular information exposure issue.
So what does that mean in plain English?
It means that someone who's not even logged in, an unauthenticated attacker, can see the plugin's settings.
Now, that might not sound as scary as, say, a remote code execution vulnerability.
True, but it's still a problem, because those exposed settings can provide attackers with valuable reconnaissance data. It's like giving them a blueprint of your defenses.
Ah, I see. So it's not just about the immediate threat. It's about the potential for future attacks.
Exactly. They might not be able to do much damage right now, but they're gathering intel, looking for other vulnerabilities they can exploit later.
So taking a step back and looking at all of this, it's clear that those common vulnerabilities, file uploads, shortcode execution, XCOM injection, they're not going anywhere.
Yep, they're like the cockroaches of a web security world. They just keep coming back.
And it reinforces the point that a layered security approach is absolutely crucial. Understanding your server environment, knowing how your plugins interact, having those robust security practices in place, audits, vulnerability scanning, the whole nine yards.
Couldn't agree more. It's not just about patching the latest vulnerability. It's about building a solid foundation of security.
Exactly. So for everyone listening out there, I want you to think about this. What can you do to apply these insights to your own work? What needs a closer look in your WordPress environments? What steps can you take to proactively strengthen your defenses?
These are the questions that keep us up at night, right?
They should, because at the end of the day, it's about staying ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
All right, that's it for our WP Safe block today. We'll be back soon with more deep dives into the wild world of WordPress security.
Until then, stay vigilant, everyone.
And keep those sites secure.